Hey everybody, welcome to Shanth Enjeti Art. My name is Shanth Enjeti, and it's been a while since I posted a video on YouTube. I wanted to take a second this morning to talk about a few things that I'm working on, say hello, remind you that I'm not dead, and talk a little bit about the work. So right now on my desk, what you can see is a comic book story that I'm working on. I've wanted to do a comic book story for a while, and that's what I'm going to be working on right now. The fun part about doing this work is creating that immaculate reality. I love what digital comics and artwork that's created in pen and ink or created in Clip Studio or created in Photoshop can be. But I think that one of the things that my particular audience is interested in, and something that I've had to kind of come to terms with when I think about doing comics, is that color is really important to my fan base. So at first I toyed with the idea of doing black and white comics. It was a little bit more natural to me to do that, but I quickly came to the realization that I have this fan base that understands my artwork as being in color and has come to have certain expectations of me, which I'm really grateful for. And so I kind of just spent some time thinking about it, and at some point my wife said to me, you know, when you think about doing comics, you always think about them in a very specific kind of fashion and looking a certain kind of way that you don't really think about them when you're doing your art books. And she kind of put it to me that I should probably spend some time thinking about doing comic book work that felt a little bit more like what I do with my art books and felt a little bit more like where I am right now as an artist. It was a great bit of advice. I didn't know exactly where to go with it, but I did take it to heart because usually, the people who know you best have some pretty good insights on where you should go, and when they say something and they offer you some advice, it's always good to listen to. I think that's really important for any artist, to make sure that they have people around them who have their best interests at heart and also who are really good teammates. And so when she said that to me and I started to think about it, I came upon this idea inspired by an artist, a brother of mine by the name of Will Podorf, who works on this Strathmore toned paper. And it seemed to me that it would free me up in terms of how I think when I start a page. There's something about the white of the page that when I'm doing sequential stuff doesn't feel particularly inspiring. It's a little bit like creating in a void. It seemed only natural to me to try to do the artwork from the standpoint of, it is a comic book, but it is also, what's the word I'm looking for? It has that beautiful classic illustrated quality that I associate with Frank Frazetta science fiction and horror magazines, and famous monsters of Filmland, Basil Gogos, all that kind of stuff. And I just can't really do that in black and white for my to my satisfaction. And my feeling also was that I don't know that it would be to my audience's satisfaction, who's grown accustomed to seeing me work in color. And it's those considerations that have pushed my artwork into this new, or I should say my comic book artwork, into this new phase. And it's something I'm really excited about. I think a lot of times, and I think I always thought a lot of times about this type of comic or this type of work that I kind of wanted to see. I wanted to see somebody do it. And that's kind of a strange thing. I mean, you are an artist yourself. Obviously, you have the ability to do it yourself. And then that's where I kind of came to that realization that I didn't know what it was. And so my hope is that I'm going to be able to create something that is effective at being whatever this thing was that I wanted to see. A good story, beautiful characters, adventure, action, and then a little bit of grace. Something that's almost like reading a illustration, reading a beautiful classic illustration that's somewhat stylized and somewhat fun, and and that's what I'm trying to create here. Doing things like illustrating this leopard or this jaguar was a lot of fun for me. Illustrating these various creatures in the sequence has been really fun. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and that's what I'm going to be working on for the next year or so, in addition to images that will also fit into Art Book 3. And as I said on a previous stream, Art Books 1 and 2 are going to be available in a store that we're going to be setting up. I will post more on that here. And if you like watching me paint and illustrate, you're going to be getting a lot of that on this channel. I've written out a social media strategy that is designed around promoting all the projects I'm working on. Instagram is going to be a part of that, so in the description there'll be a link to my Instagram. Check it out and follow it. And there'll also be a link to my Patreon, which I just started Patreon recently to post high-resolution images of all this stuff. So for those of you who've always wanted to put your nose on my process work, you're going to get the chance to do that on that Patreon. So I finally found a really good platform that seems to be working really well for me. So there's Instagram, there's Patreon, and there is YouTube. And all of those different places. Subscribe, like, and subscribe. That's how we're going to open up new doors for putting the work out there. So this is just a little bit of a glimpse into what I've been up to. Got my paper here to keep me from putting too many marks on the page, and looking forward to all of this and sharing all of this with you guys so you can see what I have been up to over the last couple of weeks. So everybody take care. Talk to you soon. So we just finished shipping book 2, so those should all be in the mail. If you haven't received yours yet, please let us know. We want to make sure that every backer has gotten their book. We've got the tracking numbers. Some of you have probably received it about a month ago or so. Others of you have received it recently, but we've been busy taking care of that, my wife Lauren and I. So I just wanted to show you a little bit about what I do here on this channel. This right here is our most recent book. This is our most recent book of Shanth Enjeti art. High quality, square bound, glossy book. So if you're a fan of my work and you haven't had a chance to pick this book up yet, don't worry. They're not going to be the same price as they were on Indiegogo for all of my backers who crowdfunded this book, so they will be a little bit more expensive, but we will be opening up a store so that anybody who missed book 1 and 2 will have a chance while supplies last to get a hold of the art books. And they are really just great. I'm so happy with how they came out and how they've come together. Every book has both close-up details and really nice reproductions of all of the artwork that I've made during the time period in which the book is covering. I've done 2 in 2 years, so we're going to have both of those available. And what's really great about these is that you can keep them around, you can take them out and look at the artwork whenever you want to, and it's just a great product, and can't tell you how happy I am with how it came out. I mean, if you like looking at artwork, you like fantasy artwork, science fiction artwork, horror artwork, this is the book for you. And in addition, at the end of the book, you've got some really great behind-the-scenes stuff where I talk a little bit about my process and even some extreme close-ups that I think came out really great when we put the book together. But right now, I'm working on a werewolf vampire story, a kind of a throwback horror comic book. So these are some examples of that work and what it's going to look like. So this would be more of like a pinup image with a werecat creature on it. And let me see if I can zoom in on that a little bit without filming the stand. Let's try that again. So that right there is a werecat image from the story, and that's more of a sort of pinup potential cover or chapter break image. And then here is a panel from one of the early parts of the story. It's kind of like a flashback. The whole story is being told by this fun character that I've created that I'm really into. So he's kind of, your classic horror anthology, a character based off of Nosferatu who's going to be telling this story. And then I'm working on layouts and writing, and when I do that, it takes this form. So here is a really, really rough sketch of that character smoking his pipe and telling you the story of, the fall of this particular group of werewolves, and, action will ensue. So that's what I've been working on, and that's the fun thing about doing this work and the fun thing about putting these books together. I've just finished a big run of fulfillment, so my wife Lauren and I are shipping out books. Everybody who was a backer during the crowdfunding period received an original head sketch, so that would be the first 70 backers, and that was just something we did to say thank you for the support and hopefully to cheer everybody up during the pandemic. And we couldn't be happier with how everything has come out, and I just want to keep making quality books for everybody, and I want to now move what I'm doing also into sequential art and comics, because I think that it's a really great time to be making comic books right now. The indie scene is just fantastic. There are a lot of really motivated fans interested in reading something new, interested in reading something that is more like what we were seeing in the early 90s in terms of indie work, also what we were seeing during the black and white boom, and in my particular case, a little bit of a throwback to some of those EC comics mixed in with a little bit of Frank Frazetta. So I couldn't be more excited about doing this work, and I'm really glad that I get a chance to share it with all of you. The stuff that I'm working on right now, I know I could not do if I was trying to get it published, and frankly, I love the quality control that I get to do by producing it in-house, packing all of the books, and shipping them off to you. I really think that this time period we're in for comic books and independent publishing is unique, and it's creating a little bit of a renaissance in various art forms. So I can make my artwork for my audience. I can illustrate things that I want to illustrate instead of thinking about them in terms of what is somebody who is a publisher going to make of this, because there's no overhead. I do everything except for the printing and the shipping. I'm handling everything across the board. So you're not just supporting a project when you're backing these books, you're supporting an artist. And for all of you who've backed my projects, you have my sincerest thanks. I hope you've gotten your books. I hope you're enjoying them, and more exciting stuff to come in the future. I've just done some really fun stuff I can't talk about just yet, and a really cool commission, and it's been a really interesting couple of months fulfilling the book, doing head sketches, the second art book. So with 2 projects shipped under my belt, I'm ready to go after the next one, but I didn't want to start working on it in earnest until I had gotten the fulfillment aspect of the art books all sorted and completely done. So from here on out, we're going to be making some of our back catalog art books 1 and 2 available at a higher price, obviously, than if you back our Indiegogo campaigns, but still, I think, reasonable for the quality of book that you're getting. So stay tuned. Lots of exciting news coming, and I'm looking forward to sharing it all with you.